All right, guys, we're going to start the show soon. Today's Monday. As we've indicated in the past, in the news business, Mondays are busy because the news accumulates over the weekend, and that's exactly what has happened yet again on a gorgeous Monday in Charlottesville, Central Virginia. A lot we're going to cover today on the program. I'm going to try to stay very much on point because we have so much information. We let you guys know first over the weekend that College Inn is no more. I think as a result of that post, not only did they sell out of food on the last shift, but a lot of people were able to go to the corner to the College Inn and get some photos of nostalgia. The College Inn, if you grew up here, you know its importance. If you went to the University of Virginia during the time the College Inn served folks on the corner, you know its importance. Frankly speaking, I know very few phone numbers in life. I know my wife's phone number, and I know the phone number of the College Inn. Besides that, I don't think I know any other phone numbers off the top of my head because they're all on my iPhone. I don't know if you have that same feeling, but 977-2710 has been burned into my medulla oblongata, and it will never be forgotten. 977-2710, the College Inn, no more. A heartbreaking scenario for so many in this community. We'll see and brainstorm where the College Inn may end up. We're hearing, call it scuttlebutt, some scuttlebutt that a reincarnated version of the College Inn may appear. We'll talk about that on the I Love Seville show. We'll talk about Washington Prime Group, the owner of Fashion Square Mall, hasta luego in it. And by hasta luego in it, I mean filing for bankruptcy in Houston, Texas, late last night. Filing for bankruptcy in Houston, Texas, late last night. So that's going to come up today on the I Love Seville show. A lot to cover on the program, including a piece of property on Mead Avenue that is 405K, it's 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 1,014 square feet. We'll highlight that property. I'm going to ask this question. The city of Charlottesville may be upzoned very soon. If the city of Charlottesville is upzoned, what is that going to do for the city? What is that going to do for the county? Let me ask you this question. If the city of Charlottesville upzones the 10.2 square miles in this city, and makes R1, which is single-family detached housing, more of a non-reality and pivots to more a densely populated area, what do you think that's going to trickle over impact Albemarle County and its land? We'll analyze that today on the I Love Seville show. I'll ask that question to Keith Smith as well in the 1 o'clock hour. A lot to cover, including the future of the UVA corner. Is this Brian O'Connor's best coaching job ever? And revenue projections for the downtown beer garden idea that we've been a huge proponent of for a very long period of time. Folks, this is a show that's going to be hot, sizzling hot. A lot to cover on the show. Do you have my mic on? Right. Good to be with you on a gorgeous day to be alive. We're live across Charlottesville, Albemarle County, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love Seville network. Thanks to the good doctor, Scott Wagner. Scott Wagner, Integrated Medicine, for being a part of the show. Dr. Wagner and his team undoubtedly have your back. We also give props and praise to Ting Fiber Internet. Ting Fiber Internet makes this show a reality by keeping us online. A lot on today's program to cover. Folks, if you're interested in topics of merit that mean things to this community, this is the show for you. We originate the news, and then the news you see later in traditional newscasts. So we're going to cover the closing of the College Inn to start. We'll discuss Chipotle and the fact that Chipotle is a chain on the corner, and we're going to ask the question, is this the future for the University of Virginia corner? That topic on the show. We'll ask this question, will College Inn reincarnate somewhere else? We'll let you know the scuttlebutt we're hearing on today's program. We'll discuss the future of the University of Virginia corner. 3 people own the corner, and it's no secret rents are astronomical on the UVA corner, and the future perhaps of this UVA corner may be big-time brands as opposed to locally owned businesses, as much as it pains me to say that. I will discuss zoning in Charlottesville. Zoning in Charlottesville. This is on everybody's mind. The city of Charlottesville, working with consultants about the potential of creating more density in this town. It's no secret that we have a housing supply shortage. So when you're landlocked, and Charlottesville is landlocked, it's barely over 10 square miles. It's 10.2 square miles to be in fact. When you have such little land to develop, you got to figure out a way to create density. One of the ways that density is being discussed is the elimination, potentially, of R1 single-family housing. R1 single-family housing is a standalone home for a family. That's what R1 means in a very simplistic terms. So when the majority of your housing in 10.2 square miles, and by majority I say over 50%, it's a fact, you can look it up. When over 50% of the housing stock in a landlocked 10.2 square mile area is only for housing that's associated with one family and one family only, you're eventually going to have a supply and demand issue. Compounding the supply and demand issue is what we all know. This area is freaking awesome. Who would not want to live in Charlottesville? You got sports, you got music, you got restaurants, you got the outdoors, you got the downtown mall. We all know why we live here and why we love here. So the conversation is create more density in the city by upzoning. And if you upzone, you potentially could take a piece of dirt that otherwise is for one home and put duplex there, a quadplex there. Depending on the land and depending on some other issues. We're not going to go too deep in the weeds here, but I'm going to ask this question. If the city of Charlottesville is in fact upzoned and we're gaining more and more momentum behind this, what is the impact that will have on the city? I will then follow up that answer with this question. If the city of Charlottesville is in fact upzoned and more density is added to 10.2 square miles, how will that impact Albemarle County and its land? Will it make Albemarle County even more valuable because it's very close proximity to the city and folks perhaps leaving the city for land in the county that's for homes and families as opposed to density duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes. That topic on today's program. We're going to feature a home that's $405,000. In fact, the broker is a friend of mine. $405K, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 1,014 square feet on Mead Avenue. Candace Vanderlin's listing. The reason I'm going to highlight this, and it's a beautiful home, Candace. I think it's a beautiful home, and frankly, I think it's priced very well, Candace. I think you did a hell of a job pricing this house. And you know I have tremendous respect for you, Candace, and I love when you come on this show. But this is the market now. Mead Avenue, a home that's 1,014 square feet, I'm looking at it right now, built in 1935. So this home is 86 years old. Built in 1935, barely over 1,000 square feet on a postage stamp for a lot, 2 beds, 1 baths, with an asking price of $405K. We'll talk Fashion Square Mall as well, and Washington Prime Group filing for bankruptcy last night in Houston, Texas. I'm going to sidestep all the speculation of Fashion Square Mall being purchased by you-know-who, and instead ask this question: is the future of Fashion Square Mall a ghost town for a long period of time? Is the future of Fashion Square Mall an empty ghost town that gets dilapidated, derelict, demoralized, depressed, disgusted, and destroyed because of lack of care? Is the future of Fashion Square Mall similar to the future of the Dewberry Hotel? Remember, Johnny Dewberry, the extorting emperor of empty lots from Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, Johnny Dewberry, the extorting emperor of empty lots from Atlanta, Georgia, is leaving the shell of the Dewberry Hotel in the downtown mall and doing nothing until he can extort the city to incentivize him to do something with his hotel. So we'll make a parallel between Johnny Dewberry, the extorting emperor of empty lots, and potentially Fashion Scare Mall. Not Square, Fashion Scare Mall. I took a trip to Fashion Scare Mall, and I will relay to you what in fact I saw with my two brown eyes over the weekend. The lead of the story has got to be the closing of College Inn. We broke this story on social media over the weekend. The College Inn is no more. The College Inn has fed so many in this community, locals, students, and their parents alike. I went to the University of Virginia from 2000 to 2004. The food that I ate the most while a student at the University of Virginia was the College Inn. It's no secret why. It was priced fairly. The food tasted good. They were open late night, delivering often till 2 a.m. in the morning. A guy like me who was dead broke, a guy like me that liked to get after at Coops and Biltmore and the Virginian and St. Martin's, enjoyed a meatball sub, a chicken parm, a slice of cheesecake, some pizza, a chef salad. Some of the chef salad. I wasn't eating many chef salads in college. I was eating the meatball parm and the chicken parm. I was eating the steak and cheese, and I was eating the pizza, and I was doing it anywhere from 12 p.m. to 2 a.m. I remember the phone number like I remember my wife's phone number, 977-2710, the phone number of the College Inn. I probably spent, $75, $100 a week at the College Inn throughout college. I was not the only one doing it. Most of the University of Virginia students were doing the same. Food that's delivered to your door in less than 30 minutes in styrofoam containers, served warm, that tastes good. The model made sense. The unfortunate situation that's happening on the University of Virginia corner is very simple. 3 people own the majority of the UVA corner. One of those people is Tip Top Terry. Tip Top Terry, I'm sure you've seen him at Tip Top on Pantops. Tip Top Terry's a nice guy. Tip Top Terry knows how to run a restaurant. Tip Top Terry loves classic cars. Tip Top Terry knows how to make money. And because Tip Top Terry has made so much money through his restaurant empire, Tip Top Terry at one time owned College Inn. Tip Top Terry does not own College Inn now. But Tip Top Terry made so much money at his restaurant. I mean, good Lord. Tip Top on Pantops, before the pandemic, how many covers could that restaurant do in a single day? I mean, you're talking morning to night, Tip Top was doing 1,000, 1,500 people easily a day. Turning the money, turning the money, turning the money, turning the money. Tip Top Terry, as a result of his restaurant empire, purchased many buildings on the University of Virginia corner. Tip Top Terry owns the College Inn. The building, not the business. The building, not the business. This building now going to be rented by Chipotle. You heard me correctly. In fact, it pains me to even say this. Like, I just got a little, upchuck. Is upchuck the word, Judah, that acidic taste in your mouth that you have to swallow back down? That's almost like vomit? I think it's upchuck, right? Isn't it upchuck, J-Dubs?
Yeah. I got a little upchuck. Let me wash that upchuck down with my iced coffee. Hold on. Chipotle on the UVA corner. If the Chipotle on the UVA corner is managed and ran like the Chipotle in Barracks Road, it's going to be an utter fiasco. The Chipotle in Barracks Road, if you've ever eaten there, is a train wreck. Yes, I said it. It is a train wreck from an operation standpoint. And folks, Chipotle on the UVA corner, I cannot see how this is going to have long-term success. I'm going to give you some reasons why. Sheetz was on the UVA corner. We were the first to tell you on this network that Sheetz was shuttering its doors on the corner. Now, you can make a legitimate argument why Sheetz did not succeed on the corner was because it lacked its gas station pumps. The gas station pumps are what attract a lot of people to Sheetz. You fill up your tank, you go in for a sandwich, and then you leave. There were 6 cafes, Sheetz cafes, that had no gas tanks. All 6 of them have now been closed by Sheetz corporate. So you can make a legitimate argument that the reason Sheetz on the UVA corner did not have success was because it did not have gas stations. I will give you that argument. I'll take it a step further. Do you remember the business Qdoba? Qdoba was on the UVA corner. Do you remember Qdoba? Qdoba could not swing it on the UVA corner. Explain to me why Sheetz, Qdoba could not swing it on the UVA corner. Now explain to me why Chipotle is going to be able to do it. Now you could make this argument. Chipotle and its fast casual, quick service price point is going to appeal to drunk college students. Okay? And some Chipotle tacos when you're closing down Biltmore, okay, maybe. But if Sheetz couldn't do it and Qdoba couldn't do it, why does Chipotle think it can do it? Now here's the next thing we're going to ask all of us. Do we have any beef? Do we have any grief, any beef or grief with Tip Top Terry and 2 other people? One of them's Hunter Craig. Hunter Craig owns a hell of a lot of the UVA corner. The third person is a female that I'm drawing a blank on her name. If someone knows the name of the female that is on the tip of my tongue that owns a large chunk of the UVA corner, please put it in the feed. What is her name? It's like right on the tongue. Tip Top Terry, Hunter Craig, and a third person, a female, who I'm forgetting her name, own the majority of the University of Virginia corner. These 3 folks are business people. Businesswomen, businessmen. I have no problem with businesswomen and businessmen earning a living and making profits in a fair way. That's called business. It's called capitalism. Hell, I'm a landlord myself, okay? The rents with our tenants, 24 of them, go up 4% and change every year. My problem is this. Tip Top Terry saw the success the College Inn had. Hell, the College Inn in a large, for College Inn, the Virginian, the Biltmore, they make the corner. The businesses that are still the same since I was a student at the University of Virginia from 2000 to 2004 are the following. The Biltmore is the same. Love the owner of the Biltmore, my friend Annie McClure. I love you, Annie McClure. I love you, Annie McClure. Coupe de Vels. Coupe de Vels has not changed since I was a student at the university. In fact, the first bar I ever went to was Coupes as a first year. 2 weeks into school, they basically let me in because my birthday was scribbled on a napkin. I showed them this napkin. They're like, hey, go drink some pictures, dude. Go for it. And me and my buddy, Connecticut Dave Henry, went to Coupes. We drank some beers, checked out the pretty girls. We're 18. That's what you're supposed to do. So Biltmore, Coupes have not changed. Buddhist Biker Bar has changed. When I was a student, it was Buddhist Biker Bar. Now it's Buddhist Biker Bar Croze Pizza, owned by my friend Jordan Brunk, who I grew up with. So I do not include Buddhist Biker Bar, Crozet Pizza in the category of not changing. In the category of not changing from 2000 to now, 21 years, the time I've spent in Charlottesville is 21 years, the Biltmore, Coops, the Virginian restaurant. The Virginian restaurant is the city of Charlottesville's oldest restaurant, founded in 1923. The Virginian, also owned by Annie McClure, who owns the Biltmore. College Inn has not changed in the 21 years that I've been in this town. Name me another business. Mincer's on the UVA corner, right? Mincer's, is Mincer's still open, J-Dubs? Mincer's is still open, right, J-Dubs? Yeah, can we get the mic? Okay, the mics are over here, so I can't hold you accountable for not talking to the mic, because the mics are on the set. I apologize sincerely, Judah. The mics are on the set. Okay, you could say Biltmore, Coops, the Virginian, Mincer's, and you used to be able to say, as of Saturday night when they closed, the College Inn. Now you cannot say the College Inn anymore. So from my count, that's 4 businesses in the 21 years I've been in this town that have been unchanged on the UVA corner. So I'm going to ask you this question. The Biltmore, the Virginian, Mincer's, and College Inn are woven into the fabric of UVA corner like orange and blue garb is woven into the fabric of the UVA corner. Those 4 businesses are Ragged Mountain Running Shop. Ragged Mountain Running Shop. Thank you for putting in that on the feed. Ragged Mountain Running Shop. White Spot, Neil Williamson. Ragged Mountain, Keith Smith. Thank you, guys. White Spot and Ragged Mountain. Here's the statement I'm going to make. It's a sad day when a local business like College Inn builds the market, and College Inn helped build the corner. It's a sad day that the owner of the building, who at one time owned the College Inn, his first restaurant, Tip Top Terry's first restaurant, was the College Inn. It's a sad state of affairs, and folks, this is nothing besides capitalism itself. It's a sad state of affairs that a local business can create a market, can show demand for food and beverage, have so much success and such long tenure selling said food and beverage, and then that success selling F&B is leveraged and utilized against that business to attract a global brand with no ties to this community. That's exactly what happened. Now, if you're Tip Top Terry, can you fault him? You can be angry with him. You can be irked with him. You can say, Tip Top Terry, first priority is the almighty dollar. And all those statements right there have proven to be true. But you got to realize, whether you like it or not, this is the American way. This is the American way. Now, Chipotle is going to come on the corner and try to prove to students and townsfolk alike that it can run a third location without it being a shit show like Pantops and Barracks. Pantops and Barracks are utter shit shows, those Chipotles. I mean, there's no way to say any, excuse my profanity, there's no way to describe what's happening at Barracks Road Chipotle or the Chipotle on Pantops any other way than calling it a doo-doo show. A doo-doo show. That's the sound box. Let's get that again. It's so funny. Oh, I still have a lot of maturing to do. A father, a husband, and a businessman finds the fart so funny. I just love this sound machine. Tip Top Terry started the business College Inn, with his brother, made bank with the business, the first step in his restaurant empire, sold the business, kept the building. The building's right under $5 million. Showcased the demand and the success that College Inn was having, and used that success story as a carrot on a stick to lure thoroughbred or a greyhound to his building to rent a long-term lease at jacked up rents. That is exactly what's happened. That is capitalism. And boys and girls, that is the future for the UVA corner. If the rents continue to escalate like they do, just like we see at Penn State with their downtown, the charm, the intimacy of local ownership will be eroded, destroyed, and thrown away, and replaced by brands and businesses that man every block in every city in the world. And that is how the heartbeat's the downtown mall. That is how if the downtown mall is the heart, the UVA corner is, what's the next most important organ in your body? Your skin? Right? It's got to be your skin, right, Judah? What's the next most important organ in your body?
Organ? I mean, that's tough and it depends on a lot of things. Skin's pretty important.
Skin's pretty important. If the downtown mall is the heart of Charlottesville, the UVA corner is the epidermis, is the skin. So the skin of Charlottesville, the corner, very soon is going to be something we will not recognize. Mark it down. Mark it down. Mark it down. Now, I'm going to get to some comments because those are flying in. Then I'm going to talk about the future of Fashion Square Mall. I'm going to talk about bankruptcy from Washington Prime Group. I'm going to talk upzoning in the city of Charlottesville and how upzoning in the city of Charlottesville could impact the city and Albemarle County. All that in a matter of moments. First, some comments because they're coming in. Neil Williamson. I like when you watch the show, Neil. Neil Williamson, Free Enterprise Forum, says, should any businesses remain unchanged for 21 years? In my humble opinion, the only thing constant is change. That is a fair statement, Neil Williamson. That is a fair statement. He's basically saying this. The College Inn did not pivot. The College Inn did not change its model. The College Inn did not improve its dining room. The College Inn, the few changes Stu Rifkin, the owner of the College Inn, did during his short tenure of owner of the College Inn, he did to-go booze, and he did that glass window. So to Neil Williamson's point, if you don't change, you don't pivot, you innovate, you're going to die. It's a fair statement, Neil Williamson. It's a fair statement. Keith Smith, who's going to join us in about 15 minutes, says, Roots will eat their salad. Well played, Keith. Roots will eat their salad. Katie Pearl, Keller Williams, says Chipotle at Barracks is a disaster. I drive an extra 15 to Pantops from Green to avoid the Chipotle at Barracks Road. The Chipotle at Pantops is slightly better than the Chipotle at Barracks Road. But the Chipotle on Pantops also is a disaster. It is an utter disaster, the Chipotle on Pantops. I have been there, so have you, we all have. Suzanne Owen says, I wonder if the city is 40% plus commercial property tax increases last year had any impact on the landlord's desire to get a higher paying tenant. Suzanne Owen. Suzanne, excellent, Suzanne. We got this issue going on. And I know this firsthand as a commercial landlord owner myself. The city of Charlottesville is jacking up taxes on the properties we own. And those taxes, this is what happens. the majority of them are absorbed by tenants and triple net leases. The majority of the tax increases are absorbed by tenants and triple net leases. So City Hall, by jacking taxes on real estate, what they're doing is cannibalizing, destroying, demoralizing, and depressing local business ownership, especially in the commercial sector. Landlords are going to hedge, and they're going to pass the tax increases to tenants. And eventually, the mom and pops in the community will not be able to afford the rents because the landlords have to jack the rents up because City Hall is strong-arming the landlords through tax increases. That's why, boys and girls, I'm making one of the reasons I am running for Albemarle County Board of Supervisors. We must find a way to generate tax revenue besides taking the money out of our pockets, the locals, the citizens, the people that make up the community. We need incremental tax sources. The sports tourism concept that I'm pushing extremely hard is an incremental tax source. Explain to me why we do not have regional soccer tournaments, pickleball tournaments, regional tennis tournaments, mountain biking tournaments, lacrosse tournaments. You get my point, in this community. When I grew up in Williamsburg, Mom and Dad would pack up the car, the 740 Volvo GLE, gray four-door Volvo, and say, boy, Jerry, and son, Jeffrey, I was the bad son. My little brother was the golden boy. I'm just going to cut to the chase. I think the family would admit it right now. I was the bad kid, getting into trouble, chasing the girls. My brother was the golden boy. They'd pack up the Volvo. They'd drive to Charlotte or Raleigh, North Carolina, where we spent the night in a hotel 2 or 3 nights, went out to eat every single meal, and played soccer. Why the hell does that stuff not exist here when the University of Virginia and its incredible athletic program are in our backyard? That's called incremental revenue, incremental tax revenue. I swear if you vote me into office, I will make that happen. I promise you. Another concept, this downtown beer garden, and I'm jumping ahead on the rundown here. Don't change the rundown on the side, Judah, because I'm using it as a reference point. This downtown beer garden, which I'm going to get to, explain to me why City Hall and city leadership is not selling a bracelet on the downtown mall for $5. You know, the downtown mall has, I'm fired up today. I am freaking fired up. Can you go to the studio camera, please? Please, sir. Explain to me. Okay. Charlottesville and Albemarle County did away with the Convention and Visitors Bureau at the bus station. And thank God, because the Convention and Visitors Bureau at the bus station was the least approachable Convention and Visitors Bureau I had ever seen. You got 3 drunk homeless dudes sleeping in front of the front door of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Who in their right mind is going to get some marketing literature about their stay in Charlottesville at a bus station, first, and second, having to do a sidestep like this and like a bunny hop? I mean, you have to jump over Bob, the drunk homeless guy that's wasted, and the other guy, you have to sidestep him, and then you go inside, and then you have to go down by the bus station to get your literature. Who in their right mind would ever, tourist-wise, do a bunny hop over Bob, sidestep Steve, and then do a little zigzag around Chris, and sidestep the Mad Dog 2020 bottles, to then go past the bus and into the little bureau that had pamphlets for branding and marketing? Does that make sense to anyone? Hell no, it doesn't make sense. That's the right answer. So instead of sidestepping Bob and Steve and Chris and the Mad Dog 2020 bottles, the CACVB said instead, we're going to get a bus, and we're going to brand this van, and we're going to drive this van places, like festivals and music venues and stuff like that. And we're going to spread the cheer and the goodwill of Charlottesville and Albemarle County with this branded bus. And we're going to take it to Lockett, and we're going to take it to the pavilion, and we're going to take it to places where people are busy. All right, I'm calmed down, Judah. You can come back to me on the one. Please, sir. Now the bus, because there's no music going on right now, this branded bus is legitimately parked on the downtown mall. You have 2 city employees sitting at a fold-out table in front of a bus parked out on the mall. They have some literature on their table, and they're hoping for some folks to go and talk to them. You know what's happening? No one is talking to them. No one is getting literature from the fold-out table on the branded bus on the downtown mall. Want to know why? Because we have iPhones and smartphones, and all the information the BS pamphlets on the fold-out table have are outdated. And instead, you can get the real-life stuff from people's Instagrams, businesses' Instagrams, and Facebooks in real time. We don't need pamphlets. Take that crappy model and pivot the model and innovate the model. And the 2 people that you're paying, whatever the hell you're paying, have them sell a $5 wristband instead. You know what drives revenue and drives engagement? You go to a bus and a table and you buy a $5 wristband so you can walk up and down 8 blocks of Charlottesville, drinking a beer, a wine, a cider, or a cocktail from the pavilion to the code building. I'm going to do back of the napkin business model rough estimate. Let's say you have 5,000 people a week. That's not even 1,000 people a day. Let's say you get 5,000 people a week to buy a $5 wristband, which gives them the ability to walk from the pavilion to the code building with an open container drinking a local cocktail. That's $25,000 a week in gross revenue. Let's say you do this, let's be conservative, 47 weeks a year, okay? Take 5 weeks off. You got some cold weather, you got some inclement weather, you got to build a buffer into it. Say you do it 47 weeks a year. I just came up with a way to create $1.175 million in incremental revenue for the city. $1,175,000 of incremental revenue for the city doing jack diddly. They're already paying the people to sit at the fold-out table in front of the branded bus. They're already paying for them to give out pamphlets that are dated and old. $1,175,000 of incremental revenue. Right there. The city budget is $200 million. A little over $200 million a year. You're talking about a 0.5 percentage point plus of incremental revenue that you're not taxing your citizens for. You take that $1,175,000 and you give it to, guess what? Here's a crazy idea. Teachers, police, firemen, EMTs, the people that keep the community safe and smart, the people that are incredibly important in this town that can't afford to live in the town. $1,175,000. Chop it up amongst your EMTs, your firefighters, and your teachers and say, we want you to live in our town. We want you to be our neighbors. We want you to get raises. We want you to live in the city and not have to drive 45 minutes to the epicenter of employment because you're priced out of the market. You know what that's called? It's called running a municipality like a small business owner who has to come in his building every single damn day and innovate and pivot and figure out a way to make payroll and figure out a way to make the business stay sharp. And for 13 years I've done it. 10% revenue increase every year, at least 10%, every year for 13 years straight. You know why? Because I try. That's why. Showing up is like 65% of it, and trying something new is the remaining percentage. Let's go back to the first set of rundown, if you could, Judah. Rundown, the first part of the rundown, the first 9, if we could. I'm seeing this town and this county that I love so dearly. I work in the city, I live in the county. And I'm seeing Sheets on the corner, then close. I'm seeing Chipotle about to open in the College Inn spot that frankly kept me alive during college, the College Inn. I'm seeing on West Main Street a mural go before what? Bar or the Planning Commission on a Starbucks. There's a Starbucks coming to West Main Street. A Starbucks coming to West Main Street. If we don't do something about this, and we don't do something about it really, really quickly, we're going to have a town we don't recognize anymore. We're going to have a town that's homogenous and looks like every other town in America. Do you want that, Charlottesville or Albemarle? Hell no, you don't. Hell no, you don't. Should I say it again? Hell no, you don't. All right, let's talk Fashion Square Mall. Now, I'm not even going to go down, because Neil Williamson's watching. Neil Williamson, I love you. I love you, Neil Williamson. I love you, homie. Love you. I'm not going to go down the road of Fashion Scare Mall. I visited it this week, and I'll relay the experiences of visiting Fashion Scare Mall in a matter of moments. I'm not going to go down the rumor mill of, you know what, buying Fashion Scare Mall. Instead, I'm going to relay the news that happened last night. Washington Prime Group is the real estate investment trust, the REIT, that owns Fashion Scare Mall. The company last night in Houston, Texas, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. According to the paperwork and its bankruptcy filing, the company has assets estimated at $4 billion with a B and debt of $3.5 billion with a B. It secured a bankruptcy loan for as much as $100 million to fund operations during court proceedings. This company had its rent collections from COVID dry up. Its tenants couldn't pay their rent, or its tenants filed for bankruptcy. And when you own a bunch of malls all over the world, has nearly 100 malls all over the world, and your tenants stop paying rent, you got a problem. And that's what's happened. So instead of doing the rumor mill of, you know what, buying Fashion Scare Mall, I'm going to ask this question instead. Is the future of Fashion Scare Mall the same future of Johnny Dewberry, the extorting emperor of empty lots, and the Dewberry Hotel? Will we see Fashion Scare Mall stay empty and eventually become derelict, fall apart, and just start crumbling like Johnny Dewberry, the extorting emperor of empty lots, like his hotel skeleton on the mall? That is my fear. That is my fear. I went into the mall this weekend. They are not even keeping the lights on in portions of the mall during working hours. You go into the mall, there's no windows in the mall when you're walking in the mall. It's a freaking mall. You go into the mall, it's literally dark, like no lights on certain wings of the mall. The mall at one point was the walking path of so many of our older population in this town because they could get their exercise and their steps inside in an air-conditioned building away from inclement weather. Now the mall is a ghost town of epic proportions. You go into this mall and it's like you hopped in a DeLorean and you used the flux capacitor and got the DeLorean up to 88 miles per hour and you go back to a gold mining town that had no more gold anymore. That's what the mall is like. And my fear is one of the most prominent pieces of real estate. If you're coming into the town from Greene County down 29, you pass Fashion Square Mall. My fear is one of the most important pieces of real estate will become a empty skeleton structure, a gold mining town with no gold. Get ready, it's coming. Washington Prime Group, bankrupt. I'll get to all your comments on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat in a matter of moments. Crazy times, man. Crazy times, man. Upzoning in the city. We'll talk about this here with Keith in a couple minutes. I'm all for housing and the American dream, and I'm all for people having their white picket fence, the backyard, the front yard, so, Billy and little Laura can play in the front yard and the backyard. And I'm all for folks creating generational wealth through home ownership. Our home, for so many of us, our most prized commodity in our retirement portfolio. We all should have an ability or a chance to purchase a home if we want. But I'm going to ask you this question, and you're going to hear a hell of a lot more about this. If we upzone the city 10.2 square miles, and if we upzone the city because there's a terrible lack of supply and a ridiculous level of demand, and then we take R1 single-family detached homes and we allow them to be duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, more densely populated housing, what are going to be the impacts of that decision making? The first thing we have to ask ourselves, can the infrastructure handle said demand? Schools, roads, police, fire and rescue, EMTs. The second thing we have to ask ourselves is this: how will developers respond to upzoning? Will we have speculative investment in the city where single-family detached are purchased by deep-pocketed individuals and the homes are destroyed and knocked down, the values of the land, and then the quads and tris and duplexes are built in their place? That's going to happen. The next thing you have to ask yourself is, how will it impact Albemarle County? If density is the name of the game in Charlottesville, and that's fine if Charlottesville wants to go down that road. If density is the name of the game in Charlottesville, it's going to make the dirt in the county even more appealing for folks that want single-family detached homes, less traffic, and more green space. It will undoubtedly drive the value north of home owners in Albemarle if upzoned Charlottesville becomes the reality. It's going to impact the values of those homes and make them even less affordable. And for those that own them, get ready. Because if you thought you had a hell of a lot of earned equity in 2020, wait till you see what happens with this. Wait until you see what happens with this. More on that in a couple minutes. Before we go, get to Keith. Flip the PTI if you could, J-Dubs, for me. Thank you, my friend. In fact, I'm looking at it now. One or two more items I want to get out of the notebook. I'm on fire today. I feel it. I feel the adrenaline. Sometimes I know when I'm clicking, and I know I'm clicking. Mead Avenue. Candace, I love you, Candace. You got swagger, Candace. You got chutzpah. You're a hell of a tennis player, Candace. You know how to buy and sell real estate. Your husband's got the Midas touch when it comes to barbecue at Smoked. You got the goods, girl. You got the goods, Candace Vanderlyn. She's got a listing on Mead Avenue, 536 Mead Avenue. I'm looking at the listing literally as we speak. It's got an asking price of $405K. This home, built in 1935, it's on a postage stamp of a lot. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, just over 1,000 square feet, $405,000 asking price. A couple doors down, Belmont Barbershop, right there on Mead Avenue, kind of across from Riverside. $415,000 asking price. The main level is I was going to use a profanity. The main level is a freaking business. The basement's rented for $9 bills plus is a basement apartment. You got 2 homes that are approaching a century in age that are barely over 1,000 square feet. They're on a postage stamp of a lot. They're asking north of $400K. I don't fault the seller. I don't fault the agent. This is the market and the time that we live in. People want to move here, and they're coming with bags of cash, working from ISPs and big city firms from Charlottesville, Virginia, and they're pricing out the locals. And until city and county leadership realizes they're a part of the gentrification process by driving up taxes on real estate ownership, they must realize they're part of the problem too. We've got to establish, we've got to figure out, we've got to create methodologies of tax generating revenue outside of taxing real estate ownership. You tax real estate ownership and you make real estate taxes your primary source of revenue, and you're causing the problem of gentrification, and you're creating a community that is white rich. It is so effing obvious to me. I like that listing, Candace. I really, really do. 536 Mead Avenue. Revenue projections for the downtown beer garden. I already gave that one to you. $5 a wristband. 5,000 people a week. 47 weeks a year. Generates $1,175,000 in incremental revenue for City Hall. $1,175,000. Instead of having 2 employees sit at fold-out chairs in front of a fold-out table with BS pamphlets that are antiquated and dated, that are not utilized because people have iPhones where they can get the information in real time from social media, why don't you get those same 2 people selling bands for $5 a pop and turn it into an 8-block open-air beer market, beer garden that gets you $1,175,000 of incremental revenue. Incremental is the key word. These are the ideas I will bring if elected to office. Last question I'm going to ask. The Virginia baseball team is playing right now. They're in the top of the second. It's 0-0. If UVA baseball gets the victory today, they go to the College World Series. This may be Brian O'Connor's best coaching job in the history of Brian O'Connor at UVA. Brian O'Connor, remember, is a College World Series champion. He's won a College World Series. However, this UVA baseball team was left out to dry in the beginning of the season. They were, from a performance standpoint and a record standpoint, below average. That is safe to say. I am looking at the record, below average. This team has found new life. New life. This team is a game, a win away from going to the freaking College World Series. The shortstop for UVA baseball, Nick Kent, a rock star, grew up in this area. The best player on UVA lacrosse, Connor Schellenberger, grew up in this area. We have national championships all over the UVA athletic department. Do you know how fortunate we are to be fans of Wahoo Nation? This athletic department is well-rounded. And another team chasing glory in the postseason. Love Oak. Love Brian O'Connor. Love Brian O'Connor. J-Dubs. Let's get the distinguished gentleman in here. I'm a little behind, distinguished gentleman. I apologize here. Give him a hand motion so we can get him in from the, we'll call that the green room over there. That's the green room, Keith. Keith, you're in the green room over there. You like that chuckle, the green room. That's the green room over there, Keith. Oh, there's Liza the dog. Liza the dog. Can you turn the, actually, it's going to be tough for you to do it. Liza the dog loves the distinguished gentleman. She's the I Love Seville mascot. Keith Smith's going to come over here and sit next to me. This man his beautiful youngest daughter married over the weekend. I was fortunate enough to go to the Sunday brunch with the Smith family. You talk about a dynamic family. These Smiths, you get them all in one spot. Ay, mi madre. Ay, mi madre. They like to have fun and get after it. All right, Keith, my friend. We got here. Don't forget his Mike J-Dubs. A lot I want to cover with you, homie. How are you?
I don't know. I can do any better than this.
Good to see you.
You're on fire, bro.
You doing well?
I'm doing great. Got to see you yesterday. Got to see your family. Married off daughter number 2. We're doing freaking awesome.
He was super generous. Had a Brazos open tab. Took my better 7/8 and my little guy.
After spending time with her, I don't even think you get the 8.
Okay, I took my better 8/8. Oh man! So my friend, where do we want to begin?
I was listening to you on fire. I was printing out, making notes. I have no idea where the best place to take this for. But I do want to add a little something, a little shout out for Dairy Market.
Yeah.
They got the Gov coming in on Wednesday.
I saw that. Got the press release.
That's going to be really neat. That's going to be a neat thing. Done with that.
Okay. The governor's coming to tour Dairy Market.
Yeah.
They're calling it Dairy Days.
Dairy Days,
at
yeah.
Dairy Market. Okay, let's talk upzoning Charlottesville. Start there.
Start there.
What do you think?
Well, in this case, that more, which is density, to me, it's a good thing. It's interesting. I was listening to you as I was sitting in the green room.
In the green room.
A.K.A. hallway.
Yeah, it's the hallway. It's the hallway outside the studio. Just like our pre-production meetings.
Look, all one needs to do, and you just mapped out tomorrow's show.
Okay.
We're just going to take this and blow it up.
Okay.
Blow it up tomorrow. But if you start taking a look at what has happened in Seattle and Portland and Minnesota when they adopted this missing middle, there is not the impact on the infrastructure that you mentioned.
Okay.
So I'll bring in some data tomorrow.
Please.
You know me, I don't like to quote something without having it in front of me. But the fear of the NIMBYs that want this really never materialized.
I'll play devil's advocate with you.
I knew that was going to happen.
Mountain View Elementary.
Yep,
A lot of new projects down Avon Extended.
that's true.
You know many of them.
I do.
Very well.
I do.
Intimately.
I do. Oh, intimate's a strong word.
These, you know them very well.
Yeah.
That's safe, right?
I'm only kidding.
Yeah. These new projects and added density have caused the 5th grade to be potentially eradicated from elementary school
Yeah.
and put into middle school. That is a microcosm of infrastructure impact
Sure.
based on enhanced density.
Sure. So none of these things there's no silver bullet answer, right?
Is there a silver buckshot?
There is a
There's
silver,
a silver
who knew?
buckshot. Who knew?
So, there are positives and negatives, but, so it's interesting. I was listening to you and playing back our show we did on Friday with Neil and Sean.
It was amazing.
Particularly talking about the comprehensive plan in Charlottesville. And, we as a region have to make this decision on what we want to be.
Okay.
If we decide people are coming. They're not going to stop coming. I've been doing this since 1987. They've been coming since 1987. It's been the same model.
Population is booming.
Booming, right?
Yeah.
So we have to make a decision on what we want to become. So if we, the collective we, make the decision that there is no increased density, we don't do this missing middle, because that's what we're talking about, then it's just going to become more affluently rich and white. That's what's going to happen.
100%.
So if we're comfortable with that, great.
Yeah.
If we're not, which I'm personally not.
Me either.
But if we're not, then there's going to be some trade-offs. I mean, none of this stuff is ever going to be
perfect.
It's not going to. There's going to be sticky moments. It's just the way it's going to be. And this isn't Charlottesville. I mean, we talk about this all the time. This is around the country. This is a tough thing. But you were talking about the mall.
Yeah.
And I'll say it.
Yeah.
UVA's not buying the mall.
There you go.
Okay.
So UVA's,
I know
as
that
of
for a fact.
now,
Well,
they're not buying the mall.
Yeah, I don't see that happening anytime in the
Okay.
future. They got enough land to deal with.
Okay.
But what they're doing in different parts of the world, and I
Uh-huh.
just did a quick article, a simple Bloomberg search.
Uh-huh.
What they're doing is they're converting them into apartments. They're doing stuff out in Seattle. They're doing stuff up in upstate, up in New Jersey and stuff like that. They're converting these things. So I think what has happened here was a pretty slick move on the company's part. They filed bankruptcy so that they can protect themselves, and they're probably going to restructure. And I think you're going to start seeing a lot of this approach like they're doing on the other thing. But there's an opportunity right there. We've been talking about this forever. Right? There's an opportunity there. It's being done. It can be done on that where we can increase housing. Other than the schooling infrastructure, the infrastructure's there, right? I can't speak to the schooling because I don't know the numbers, but I can tell you the roads are there, the bus stops are there, the water's there, the sewer's there, the power's there, the high-speed internet is there.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility for that.
Okay, I'm going to throw this. I have so much I want to ask you. I'm excited that you came in here today.
I always love being with you. You know
Same. Same. Feeling is mutual. If the city becomes much more dense, what's the impact your crystal ball say for Albemarle County?
So it will expand out. It will impact it. I mean, we had this conversation when I tell somebody where I'm from Charlottesville. I don't say Fluvanna County.
Right.
You don't say Albemarle County. It will radiate itself out, and you'll probably see.
You know this a hell of a lot better than I do. I've been very fortunate to learn
I disagree
from you.
with you on that all the time, but go ahead.
Well, I've learned from you for over 2 years. If the city eradicates R1.
So let's stop for a second.
Okay, please.
It's not eradicating. Okay. It's not eliminating anything. So,
okay, if the city, I'll change a different term. If the city allows duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes on R1.
Correct. So it'll be a by right use.
Yeah, by right use.
So it's important because
Okay.
we don't want people to think that all of a sudden they're losing
So
their
it's not
zoning.
eradicated, okay. It's giving more opportunity
That's
or
exactly
options.
right. That's exactly right.
Giving more options to what was otherwise a static piece of dirt that could only have one piece of structure on it.
So what it's doing, if it gets adopted and it goes, and it's a long way to go. Like Sean and Neil talked about this.
Right.
We've got a long way to go here years before this happens, frankly.
Yeah.
What it does is it gives an opportunity to the R1, to the residential owner to go ahead and increase their density. You don't have to do it.
Yeah, so the residential owner could have a basement apartment. They could do a cottage in the backyard.
That's exactly right.
They could choose to tear down
That's
their
exactly right.
house and build a quad.
But what we talk about this all the time about turning what color tape?
Turning red tape into green tape.
So that's what will happen here. So instead of us going to an R1, open up the current zoning book. Right? I'm kind of simplifying this here.
Yeah, please do.
And you and I own a piece of property together in Belmont, on Elliott Avenue
There
in
you go.
Belmont,
Okay.
right? So instead of us having to go through the whole rezoning process, which we may or may not get, and all that money and all that
Pain in the ass.
expense-
It's super expensive and time consuming.
Time consuming, and
Yeah.
nobody wants to do it, obviously. It will be just in the by right use. Now, what'll happen, there will be a huge checklist of things that you need to check. And these things have yet to be determined. Because keep in mind, what's going to happen is this consultant's going to finish the comprehensive plan, and then
Yeah.
immediately they're going to go and attack the zoning end of it. So this is going to take a bit of time
Sure.
to get there.
That's why this election is so important.
Elections what?
Elections matter, Neil
There you
Williamson.
go.
Elections matter. Hashtag content slinger, Neil Williamson.
go.
Throw this to you. The prediction is that this is going to make Albemarle County R1 even more expensive and valuable than it is now.
Yeah, so what
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to go up anyway, right? But may it go incrementally up? Is your word?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's going to be even more than.
Yeah, it's going to radiate itself out. It's just the way the market's going to go. But I disagree with you slightly
Okay.
on something.
Which point?
On the big entities coming in to do this missing middle in the city. I think you're going to find it to be more local folks doing it, and they may have deeper pockets, but I don't think you're going to see like a large national firm come in and do that because
BlackRock, the investment firm, is now one of the key assets in their portfolio is single family ownership.
Correct.
BlackRock owns a hell of a lot of homes now.
correct.
That's a global hedge fund.
But there's a difference between acquiring an asset and holding it, acquiring an asset and going through the process to tear it down, redevelopment, and all this stuff. I think I just don't think there'll be enough units deep to do that. In
The
my
CEO
opinion.
of BlackRock, I was watching on Squawk on the Street, and he said to Carl Quintanilla, he said, we're in the business of making money. And supply and housing is so
Sure.
far behind,
Sure.
and demand is so through the roof.
Yeah.
This is just like us trading stocks.
Yeah, but so they're doing the iBuy thing,
Yeah,
right? So they're doing the
That's
high.
literally what they're doing.
Exactly right. So, but that's different than
Explain
what.
to them iBuy.
So iBuy is best way to explain iBuy is you ever see the sign on the side of the road that says
I buy homes.
I buy houses
Yeah,
for cash.
yeah.
Well, that's what they're doing now.
Yeah.
And so you have these huge hedge funds, these huge companies coming in there with pockets of cash, and that's what they're doing. So they're walking into you and saying,
They're walking into a Charlottesville.
So-
they're finding a Keith Smith and saying, "We got 10 million in tranches." Not, but you see what I'm saying? We got 10 million bucks to spend here. Get us some homes.
So what they're doing is they're going to walk up to 536 Mead Avenue.
Candace, we love Candace.
I love Candace to death, and they're going to walk into that and say, "I'll offer you $300,000 cash close in 10 minutes," and that might work for these people.
That might work for some people, not all people.
It might work for some people.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
'Cause there's
And then
no
they'll-
headaches.
And then what they'll do is they'll turn around and either hold it, which usually they don't. They hold it and they flip it because one of the problems with holding property, as you well know,
Yeah,
is
it's the carrying costs.
and as a landlord,
You got taxes.
and you got
Yeah.
you
You
got
gotta deal with the
tenants
BS.
and the tenants and all
Yeah.
this.
So my friend, go ahead.
Quick thing on this.
Yeah.
Something that you didn't highlight.
Yeah.
First of all, I ran some numbers. She's spot on. She's
Oh, I said it was a great price.
Smack in the middle
Yeah,
of where it needs
right.
to be.
I
As
mean,
far as-
the home 2 doors down is 415, essentially the same specs.
well, I ran the sold numbers before I walked over here, and she's right smack in
Yeah.
the middle of it,
Which we expect from her.
without a doubt. But here's the interesting thing: it's also zone business,
Hmm.
right? So that is right now zone commercial and industrial. So there's an added value there, which makes this even a little bit more attractive. So somebody could come in. That's the reason why.
Belmont Barbershop is in Belmont Barbershop.
That's exactly
And that
right.
house 2 doors down.
That's exactly right.
So I want to ask you the question again. If it's up zone and we're years away. So guys, there's 2 spots up for city council in November in the general election. Those 2 people that get elected onto council,
We'll deal with this.
along with Payne, Snook, and McGill,
Correct.
are going to handle this.
Absolutely.
So the 2 people that get elected in November, along with Payne, Snook, and McGill, will determine upzoning of Charlottesville. That's safe to say.
Correct.
Okay. So if I, from
Well,
what
they're going to handle the finalization of the comprehensive plan because that's probably not going to happen by the calendar this year,
Okay.
and it may. But then the real work is this changing of the zoning.
exactly.
So that's the obligatory portion of this.
So we know Michael Payne.
Yes.
How would you think he's going to vote on this?
Oh wow.
Crystal ball time. I can.
Yeah.
You know what my prediction is?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's going to be all about this.
Yeah, I would agree. Look, devils are in the details. We don't know the details yet, and this is
We're talking macro, bird's eye view here.
two guys having a beer BSing.
That's right.
Yeah, I think if it attacks some of the things that are very important to him, yes, absolutely.
McGill previously lived in Fifeville.
Yeah.
She's going to vote for this.
Yeah, I would agree. There's, again, very high level things that need to happen for this. But I would, I would say those would count them as 2 yeses.
Nakia Walker, if she gets reelected, and she's on the general ticket,
I'd put her.
she would vote. She's going to vote yes.
I don't know about that.
How do you say that?
Well,
She's for more housing at affordable price points. Although she does have a record of not voting for a lot of this stuff.
so the way these things work, it depends on what's in the deal, right? And so there may be some specifics in it that she can't support. So I'd put her in a 50-50 column at this point.
How about Snook?
Snook, I would say yes too. I put Snook in a yes. So I think at that point you've got
You got
it.
3.
I think you'll hit 3.
Yeah. This is going to happen, guys.
Yeah, I think you're going to hit 3 on it, but I think you might change the 3 around a little bit. We don't know really. You and I are in agreement that we think it's pretty much going to be Mr. Wade and Mayor Walker. I think that's where this is going to shake out. Not that Mr. Pinkston.
Do you think Mr. Pinkston would vote for this?
Hard to tell. I haven't really followed
It's hard
this.
to tell with him.
I haven't followed this platform enough
Yeah.
to know that. But we're going to have an opportunity to do that because we're going to invite them all in, as you well know.
I love it.
And we're going
You
to
got a commitment from the mayor.
No, I have not. But I haven't started my persuasive conversation.
You're very persuasive.
I don't know about that, but yeah. But we're going to do that. We're going to do this on Real Talk. We're going to do our best to get these folks in there to ask these questions, to do it, particularly in the surrounding counties, because there's a couple of them, but a good majority of them are running unopposed. And this is a great opportunity, a great format to ask them these questions.
Jamie Turner, congrats on your daughter's wedding, Mr.
Thank you.
Smith. Hope it went well.
Thank you.
Kelly Jackson, if downtown did more festivals, those bands would sell like hotcakes.
Great
The
idea.
Beer Garden band.
Great idea. I know you're not taking credit for that, but it started with you.
I know it did. Yeah.
So
I'm trying to be humble.
Really? Are you freaking kidding me? Give me a fist bump. What are you talking about? You walked into my family gathering yesterday, and everybody, but at the end of it, yeah, Jerry, everybody knew everyone. You did great. You
My
did great.
favorite person was chatting with Pop.
Pop, there you go,
Pop
Pop.
went up to my 3-year-old boy and said, what does he say? Oh, hit the road, Trey, or something like that. No, what does he say?
I don't know.
Something like that.
I don't know.
And
With
he
him,
goes, hit the road, Trey. And then next thing I know, Trey's going like this, banging the road with his hand.
you need to have a little talk with your
Hit
son.
the road, Trey.
That's not what it means, but that's okay.
I love Pop.
Yeah, Pop's good people. If I grow
Pop's
up,
his dad.
if I grow up and become half the man Pop is, I'll be doing
My
something.
favorite thing about Pop has got the quick wit and the.
Oh yeah.
He loves to poke.
Oh, well,
He likes the jab.
It's a New York thing, right? Now he's our son-in-law. But I used to tell when the ladies would bring Houston over and we'd sit down and as you saw my family, we're huge,
Yeah.
we're diverse,
Yeah.
we're eclectic,
Yeah, dynamic.
We're dynamic. We got everything from Latinx to African American to which I didn't introduce you to, my Jewish uncle. But what happened there was, we'd sit down, grab hands, and say a prayer before we eat, and then he'd look up and say, "You're on your own, son." And it was like a deer in a headlight because. You'd keep up really good.
Oh, I loved it.
You'd keep up really good.
I loved it. Talk to me about your take on the College Inn.
Neil was right.
They didn't innovate.
I don't know about that. But the comment about there's always change. It's just the one constant. Things are always going to change. This town is not like it was in 1987. It will not be the same in 2027, 2037. It's going to change on that end of it. I think Chipotle's going to fail.
Me too.
Personally.
Me too. I agree.
Roots will just eat their lunch, literally.
No, you said Roots will eat their
salad.
salad. Yeah, that's a better one. Is eat their salad because they sell salad.
I know that. Yeah,
that was good.
I actually thought that one out before I sent it.
It was very clever.
Yeah. So thank you. So yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. It goes back to a comment Neil made on Friday and the one I just made. We as a community have to decide what we want to be. So do we want to be a corner full of Fortune, whatever, 100 companies, right? I know I don't want it to be that way. And so that's a little easier to deal with, frankly, than the comp plan and the zoning we talked about.
Oh, much easier.
Because all you do is just don't go there.
Yeah.
And eventually the numbers
go out of business.
numbers are going to work and they're going to leave,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And that'll drive things down a little
So
bit.
should UVA step in with the corner? Their endowment year over year goes from $9 billion
Yeah.
to $13 billion year over year. Whoever's managing their money, we should all be so lucky to have that manage our money. Should they step in and rescue or save? Maybe rescue and save is not the right word. Preserve the local integrity of the corner.
Wow. That's a great question. And as you know, on the UVA affordable housing team, I'm sitting down with some of these individuals
I know you are.
that would make that decision. And I got to tell you, I'm going to ask that question. I got a
Please.
meeting coming up. I can tell you how I feel about
Like
it.
a rent subsidy program?
Well, that's always a slippery slope.
That is very slippery stuff.
But-
So what are your ideas?
Well, it's not my ideas. It's just that you got my wheels turning on the UVA thing. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Usually I don't.
Yeah, I like when you
on
do
the
that.
show. The problem with that is if UVA comes in and buys it, it's going to be at an absorbent. I mean, hundreds multipliers over value.
Yeah, Hunter and Terry and the female that owns the corner, I'm drawing
Yeah.
a blank on her name, will 5X what the actual
Whatever
value
it is.
Yeah, because they know they got them by the,
And they have the ability to perform.
yeah, right, exactly.
Right?
They have the money.
So what's the downside to that?
The downside is the university is basically a REIT.
Well, it's a REIT because it kind of is already,
I mean,
right?
it is a REIT.
It is a REIT.
Yeah, right.
But what happens with that? Then it overinflates. It inflates the market value. That's the problem, and then that's why you have something like I've been trying to.
So you're saying that's going to impact comps in the city, going to impact other landlords from a comp standpoint. Next thing you know, assessments are going to go up. And we saw that with Corin's building on West Main. Was it the Uncommon building that sold for an uncommon amount of money?
So when you have, that's exactly right. So
I learned from you.
But then again, it's the market.
Yeah, it's the
Right,
market.
right? So how do you manage and control that? I suspect UVA is probably not going to step into that. I suspect it's going to let the market just do its thing out that way, and that's just my guess at the moment. Reading some tea leaves from conversations, they own enough property as it is. They actually own more property in Albemarle than they do in Charlottesville.
Well,
Considerable amount.
UVA is in Albemarle.
Correct.
And not
Correct.
Charlottesville. A
Most
lot of people don't know that.
Most people don't know.
Neil, local businesses must win the business from corporate entities rather than subsidies. Well said, Neil Williamson.
Yeah.
Hashtag content slinger Neil Williamson.
Yeah,
Well said.
and I was. He said in a much better way
Very nicely said.
than I was saying it. He put a much better point onto it than I. So I would be a little bit not in favor of UVA doing it. I don't think they wish to do it. To be frank with you, I don't think they wish to get in because I just know that they, particularly the Fashion Square Mall, they just are very nervous about getting into the housing space. Very much so. And that's why they reached out to people that are experts in the field to try to help them manage this through this thing. So if I was betting man, I'd say UVA is going to stay away from that. The foundation might just buy it for the heck of it, but I doubt that's going to happen.
Okay, last question. The fabulous Emily's in here.
'Cause we-
And she's
oh,
like, she's like, come on, let's get to work. We got some houses to sell over here. Last question.
Sure.
What does the UVA corner look like 20 years from now?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I hope.
I've been here 21 years.
Yeah.
And 21 years from now, what does the UVA corner look like?
I can tell you what I hope it doesn't look like.
Well, what do you think it's going to look like? We both hope it doesn't look like what we think it's going to look like. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what I think is, man, you put the spot on with the sheets. The business model was a dumbass business.
It was a dumb business model.
Does
So that's
business-
almost an anomaly that we should take out because they didn't have the gas pumps. The real example is going to be Chipotle. And if Chipotle follows the suit of Qdoba, then we know that the chains aren't going to work on the corner. But if Chipotle has success on the corner,
So I would be looking at what the demographic is doing that's going to buy that. And it's interesting, that demographic I just married off on this weekend, they're done with Chipotle.
Local.
Yep. No, they're just done in general. They don't, because when everybody was in town, was hey,
Chipotle specific or chains in general?
no, well, a little of both, but Chipotle in specific.
Okay.
I think nationwide they're going downhill. I know locally they are.
Oh, it's a train wreck.
So we ended up going to, because we were going to pick up a salad, we went to local place. That was their choice. So I don't know. I don't, man, it's hard. I've been here since '87, and there's, you have businesses that have been there for much longer than that. And I don't know. If it's going to work, man, they got to get better at it. That's for sure.
Here you go. Real talk tomorrow. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I had Batman and Robin, but I think we're going to pick up where we left off, like we did last week. I'm liking this coming in on Monday, and you're on fire on Monday because we got a whole weekend thing, and we'll cherry pick some stuff and talk about some answers, some feedback that you didn't get to, and we'll just do that. Friday's going to be great. We've got a whole team coming in from Dairy Market, and so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Scott, we'll close on this. Hopefully, it's a great forum for city council candidates to be photographed at. Not holding the breath, though. Sorry, not sorry. That's as close as possible for regulars and normal citizens at the moment to get positive and proactive and to find out about candidates.
We're going to do it. It's.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. It's going to take time. I need to. We're going to make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, they're learning from the show.
Well, it's learning from your network.
Yeah, from the show, because we're putting it where they are.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, we had people from California, New Mexico, and all that stuff. Now, they're related to me, but they're
your cousins and your family and your friends. Of course,
but you think they actually like me? So.
I mean, I'd say 75% of them.
That was a little bit nice. Thank you for that.
He's Keith Smith. We're going to continue the discussion tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. on Real Talk, presented by Yes Realty Partners and the Yes Team Realtors. 10:15 a.m. tomorrow. If you like this discussion, don't miss Real Talk tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. Put it on your phone right now. Thank you for joining us on the I Love CVille show. Thank you to the good doctor, Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine, and of course, the fantastic people at Ting Fiber Internet for being a part of the show. Hasta luego.
Great show today, man.
Thank you very much. Hello, Emily. Sorry to make you wait.
I gave her a heads up before I came over. I said, Jerry.